Due to Emerald City Comic Con, DC has released their solicitations a little bit early for June 2019. Let's see the 5 things that you guys need to check out. What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is going to be a weekly one-shot where I'm going to be going over the solicitations from DC Comics for June of 2019. And this is the 5 things that I think that you guys really need to pay attention to. The first thing is that a lot of DC Comics are calling it quits, and we've got 3 more that are going out inside the month of June. First, we've got The Silencer, which is going to stop at issue number 18, and that is unfortunately going to be one of the final books from DC's Dark Knight's Metal, one of their New Age of Heroes titles. The only one left is going to be the Terrifics, and we don't necessarily know how long that one's going to stick around. We also get the Wildstorm number 24, which is going to be the last issue from Warren Ellis' series, and overall it's had a very small but very passionate following, and unfortunately we're not going to get any more Wildstorm stories anytime soon. And then finally, Naomi number 6 is going to be the conclusion of the first part of that story. While it isn't necessarily a cancellation and it's more of a putting that character on pause, Brian Michael Bendis and David F. Walker have worked really hard to try and create a spot inside the DC universe, and based on the cover for number 6, it looks like she's going to be maybe Young Justicing it up for a little while. But one thing's for sure, Naomi number 6 is going to be the last one for a little bit of time. The number 2 thing that you're going to want to know about is the Superman and Supergirl crossover. So Brian Michael Bendis has been writing Superman, and Mark Andreyko has been writing Supergirl, and the entire idea after the Man of Steel series that Brian Michael Bendis really came out with was that Supergirl was out inside the DC universe trying to find out who was responsible for the destruction of Krypton. And this is particularly because of the destruction of Kandor, and she's out there trying to find other Kryptonians. So she's recently been teaming up with the Omega Men. However, she's going to be coming back to Earth to team up with Superman, Superboy Jonathan Kent, and anybody else who's willing to take on Rogol Zar and General Zod, because the last time we saw Zod, he was inside the Phantom Zone, and Rogol Zar was putting him through the ringer. But this is an event that's going to be dealing with that specific part of the storyline. However, there are bigger storylines in Brian Michael Bendis' future. Speaking of big storylines, the number 3 thing that you should really be checking out is Justice League. And Justice League is really setting the stage for the DC Comics cosmic universe. And Scott Snyder has been layering layers upon layers onto this cosmic cake that he has been creating for these various characters. So the Justice League is going to be leaving the 6th dimension as of Justice League number 25, and the Legion of Doom is going to play a pretty big role inside Justice League number 26. And Perpetua is going to be a real key focus inside the Year of the Villain, which is something that we'll talk about in a different video. But the real key here is that Justice League is setting a lot of trends inside the DC universe, and it's being used as permission or a jumping off point for a lot of different creators, so that way they can take their stories to the next level. Speaking of taking stories to the next level, the number 4 thing that you should really be thinking about is Event Leviathan. So we did see the rollout of Leviathan in last month's solicitations, and really after the introduction of possibly a Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane storyline, Event Leviathan is going to be dealing with a lot of characters taking on this secret organization that is coming up through the ranks and destroying anybody that stands in its path. So we've seen the Batman, we've seen the Question, and there's a number of other different people that are going to be taking on Leviathan, and this is really Brian Michael Bendis' masterwork as he teams up with Alex Maleev. It's what Action Comics has really been building to for, well, since he took over the run, and Jimmy Olsen has played a key part in that. Event Leviathan is something that a lot of people, if you've been a fan of Brian Michael Bendis' work on DC so far, need to check out. However, if we're talking about the latest and greatest Superman story, we're going to have to talk about number 5, and that is Superman Year 1. So essentially, DC fulfilled the dreams of Frank Miller and teamed him up with John Romita Jr. to tell the quintessential Superman Year 1 story. The small boy growing up in Kansas, the way that he deals with his powers and how he interacts with the individuals. There's going to be Frank Miller's interpretation of everything that Superman can be, should be, would be, and will be, and how he kind of became that person right from the start. With the immortalization of Frank Miller's Batman Year 1 and the recent canonization inside Detective Comics, as well as inside Batman, there's a lot that's really going on inside the DC universe, and the events of Superman Reborn, as well as a number of other things, have just kind of smashed every single DC alternate reality Elseworld story into one kind of canon. So, how impactful is Superman Year 1 going to be, and is this going to set the trend for the future of Superman, or just be some sort of offshoot that maybe they'll adopt a little bit later? I want to know what you guys think, so hit me up in the comments down below and we can start that conversation. What are you excited about inside DC's 2019 solicits for June? Is there something that I haven't covered? Is there something that we should talk about? Hit me up in the comments and let me know. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books and more.